Hey girl, hey. So it is Women's History Month. And as we celebrate our 2-year anniversary, we have with us Valencia Clay, who is the founder of Diva Clay Foundation. So for us who really know Valencia, we call her Pumpkin.
Ah,
But to the greater world, Valencia has done some really great things in the community around kidney disease and promoting health and wellness in Black women, for Black women in our community. And so today we're going to talk to Valencia, catch up with her, see what she has going on, hear a little bit about Diva Clay Foundation, and then how we can help. So tell us about Diva Clay Foundation, and thank you for spending some time with us.
yes, thank you for having me. So, Diva Clay Foundation was founded on my story, my journey. As you all know, I've dealt with kidney disease for the last 20 years of my life. And so in 2005, my life changed forever. At the age of 28, I was diagnosed with kidney disease. I thought I was untouchable, but God had a different plan. So moving fast forward, I did dialysis for 10 years. I worked a full-time job with Fort Worth ISD. I often would find myself working part-time jobs as well. So the foundation is just based off my family, who my great-grandmother, who also was diagnosed with kidney disease at a late age of her life, Matilda Clay. And so I had other cousins so that was facing the same challenges. So it was just easy for me to put a foundation that was dear to my heart and dear to my family to bring the awareness so we can bring the awareness to local families.
Okay. So you said you were 28.
Yes.
You were diagnosed when you were 28. There is this huge misconception
Yes.
that if you have kidney disease and you are doing dialysis, it's because you have diabetes. But that's not the only reason or way that some health issue that
Right.
affects your kidneys. So what brought you to dialysis? What was happening in your body that affected you?
So as we know, it's called the silent killer. The silent killer is high blood pressure, hypertension that no one talks about. So I didn't have any symptoms. I had never been sick a day in my life. So I was being faced with the silent killer because there's no symptoms of showing. So just one day randomly at work, I started having a pain in my shoulder, and I thought it was gas. So I would take all kind of stuff. And so it led me to go to the ER from work. So I went to the ER. When I went to the ER, they noticed my numbers were not normal.
So what kind of numbers?
My kidney levels,
Okay.
my creatinine levels and everything, my GFR was low and everything. So I was referred to a nephrologist from that point.
Okay.
So yeah, from that point I was referred over.
So you went from I'm healthy in my mind
Correct.
to I have kidney disease to, well, also I got high blood pressure and I've been ignoring the symptoms.
Yes, yes.
So I want to put a pin right here because one of the things that we as Black women, we put an S on our chest.
Yes.
And we ignore every sign, every symptom,
Wow.
everything. But we recognize it in everybody else.
Except ourselves.
But except ourselves. And so because we put ourselves at the end of the line,
Wow.
by the time we get a diagnosis, we're at a stage or at a point where we need the most, the harshest, the harshest treatment versus I could have, you know, when I first felt that pain in my chest or when I had those headaches or any of those things, I could have checked my blood pressure. I could have gone to the doctor. I could have maybe gotten on the lowest dosage of blood pressure medicine, you know? So I want to put that out there for us as women. because it's not just kidney disease.
It's not.
It's not just kidney disease.
Not.
It's blood pressure.
Mm-hmm.
It's diabetes.
Yes.
It's HIV. It's cancer.
Mm-hmm.
It's all of those things. We put ourselves at the end.
Yes.
Versus putting ourselves at the beginning, because if we put ourselves at the beginning, then everybody behind us is going to be healthy because we healthy.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So how long were you? So you got a kid. You got diagnosed with having kidney disease.
Yes.
And then at what point did you move to dialysis, or did you go to dialysis very quickly?
No. So within the frame of finding out that I had kidney disease, I think within a year, I was seeing my nephrologist probably once a week. I would have to take these shots. It's like a blood thinner shot,
Mm-hmm.
but I can't think of the name of it. I would have to take that every week to keep my levels going. So within that frame, in March, I was at work, and I was at work, and I was in the process of going to get my shunt fixed, because
Okay.
when you find out you're on kidney disease, they want to already go ahead and start working on your just in case you have to go. So I was in the process of moving forward to get my shunt done, set the schedule up for surgery. So when I got to the light, so make a long story short, during the process, I had been walking, I had been gaining weight, I had joined Weight Watchers, but I was gaining this weight, and I didn't know what was going on. It wouldn't leave. So I was like, well, how am I gaining weight? But I'm on Weight Watchers because I'm doing everything right. And so my body started to retain fluid.
Okay.
My body started to retain fluid where I would have the indentions in my pants, in my legs, in my hands. And so I was on my way to get tested for my and I called my nephrologist office, and I said, hey, I don't feel well. I'm having some kind of cold. Something is going on with me, and I don't know what's going on. And I remember her saying, Miss Clay, where are you at right now? I say, I'm at the light. She said, I need you to get to the hospital as soon as possible because you're in renal failure.
Okay.
Wow. That was like, what? So immediately I'm crying. I remember calling my mom, and I was like, hey, they just told me this is going on. I'm in renal failure. I don't know what that means because
Right.
I don't know. I'd never been sick a day in my life. So it was a lot. So I go back to work, and I have a coworker that I love dearly. And I said, hey, Paula, you have to take me because they just told me I can't drive. You have to take me to the hospital because I can't drive. And this is what they told me. So we get to the hospital. By this time, my mom and grandmother them meets us there. And immediately we had to do dialysis. They had to set me up with the catheter. And I remember the first treatment. The first thing I did was pull the covers back from my legs. And they were so little.
Wow.
They were so little. I had so much fluid on me. And I remember them saying I should have passed out at work because I was carrying so much fluid. I remember the doctor saying there was no way you had been walking around that campus with overloaded with all this fluid. I can't remember how much they pulled off because that's been 10 years ago.
Right.
But it was so much fluid that my ankles were so small.
So, the old saying is God looks after babies and fools, right?
Yes.
And so you have all of these things that happen,
Mm-hmm.
and you're wondering, like, how did I get here? How am I walking around this campus? Well, when you know how you walking around, because I'm walking around by the grace of God.
Nobody.
And when you look back and you realize that, you think, wow. Yeah.
Wow. I say it all the time.
Yeah.
Look at God.
Yeah. it does not get better than that.
Mm-hmm.
I want you to tell us what renal failure is. Talk a little bit about that. Tell us what renal failure is.
So renal failure is, I always say, a temporary fix going into renal failure. It's where your kidneys the function, your kidney function is not normal like someone who don't have renal failure. It's where you go and they have to clean your blood, filter your blood, so you can have clean blood to have a longevity of life for 3 days a week. And so it's a fix that is temporary,
Okay.
but it saves a lot of people. And with that being said, we go 3 days a week. We sit on the machine 3 days a week. We get our blood filtered out, even when you don't want to, even when you're tired, even when you're overwhelmed, even when you feel like, woe is me, you still have to go because you are in renal failure. And by being in renal failure, you're going to get, your kidneys fixed. You're getting your motor fixed.
Okay.
In so many ways, you're getting your motor fixed. So it's a different world.
And so you're at the dialysis center.
Yes, I am.
In a room with lots of other people who are on dialysis. Yes. And everybody's story is very different.
Very.
But you're there all for one purpose. Mm-hmm. So what does that look like if you are at the dialysis center and you're in need of help? Because when you're on dialysis, you're on a machine, almost 8 hours a day. Mm-hmm. Is right?
Some people are, the most is 3 hours to, I ran for 4 hours and 30 minutes sometimes. Yeah. But when I first started out, I was 3 hours. But eventually, if you're not getting the right function, your toxins not coming out right, the longer you go.
Okay.
So it depends on the individual.
Okay.
Yeah, so it depends on the individual.
So are there social services are provided like to people who are on dialysis? Because there are people who are working who are on dialysis, and then there are people who it changed their whole life. And so whatever sense of normalness, that sense of mm-hmm. I lost my word, but that piece that you had, I have a job, I have all of these things, I can pay my bills, I can buy food, I can buy medicine, I can do all of those things. Yes. That leaves for some people, for many people. And so you go from, I get a paycheck, and while I might be living from paycheck to paycheck, or I may have more month than money, I have this till I'm living on a fixed income, because now I am on Social Security disability or something else like that. So are there services that are offered at the dialysis center that may be able to assist dialysis patients? And I'm going to come back to your story, but I just want to know.
I can say, for me, not as many services as should be. It should be more. So I can say I was one of those patients who needed help, but I would also have to go outside of my center because it's a lot of patients who need help. So it was an organization that I do recall that would send a check back then, like every 6 months, for help, but it wasn't enough. So we have a social worker that's involved, but it goes back to just local. And, with me working a full-time job, it did strain financially on me, right? Because I couldn't work so many hours because my body wouldn't allow me to do the hours. So financially, it's hard on a lot of people. In the social worker part, they can do only so much they're allowed.
Right.
So I would say yes and no, if that makes sense.
So, yes, it does. So your foundation. So we're gonna tie this in, y'all. We going somewhere. Don't get off the track. Your foundation is formed to be that bridge.
Yes.
To help people who are on dialysis, who may need help with transportation, to get to dialysis, because that's a huge piece,
a big piece
right there, because you're having to go there and then get back.
Yes.
And the dialysis center is open at 4 and 5 in the morning, mm-hmm. and there's 3 shifts. Listen, y'all, I know this much to be dangerous. I know that much to be dangerous because we lived your life.
Yes.
For several years, my mm-hmm. son and I, And with the help of our neighbors and our family, you know, we had, you know, some support.
The support team.
But a lot of times it was just me and him.
Because it's hard.
A lot of times it was me and him, and so you start moving down the track and you think the train is going really good, and then you go to dialysis one day and you get a phone call and you're like, I'm headed to the hospital. I need you to meet me I need you to meet me at the hospital. And then the train has derailed.
Yes.
So your foundation, transportation, housing is a big issue, and housing is so expensive right now.
Right.
And then the food insecurity piece, because that's a big part. Because even when you're on dialysis, you still need to be able to eat healthy.
Yes.
So how can we help that? What does that look like as you're out here having formed this new foundation? Yes. How can we help? What do you need from us to support?
Wow. So I'm super excited about Diva Clay Foundation. I am so excited. And the foundation is just for locals. And you said one thing that's really important: local, social. How can we help? The one thing is, so Diva Clay Foundation is to bring awareness to our local community, to help out. So my days of going to Dallas is 3 days a week. I would pack extra snacks because I know everybody in there didn't have snacks. I knew I needed to share. I worked a full-time job, so I would bring snacks, so I would share. And I know everyone don't have a family. Everyone's not blessed with the support system. I have truly been blessed with my support team, my support system. So this foundation is more about giving back to our community. And the one thing, our biggest thing that we're moving forward with, our big thing is transportation. Because with the new budget cut, they have cut transportation for rides. And that's sad because I had a young lady to reach out to me about a month ago telling me she has to take the bus to get to treatment back and forward. That broke me because I remember sitting on the machine 30 minutes or an hour in my chair when I wasn't hooked up because my body wouldn't allow me to drive. Yeah. So I can't even imagine getting on a bus.
Right.
You know, I can't even imagine getting on the bus and having to go through the different levels to get to back home, and you're already tired, exhausted, your mind. So Diva Clay Foundation we want to launch with Trinity Metro, and we want to bring awareness where we can support local. And I say that because we have to start within our own community before we can go out. And that means partner with Trinity Metro or whoever we can to get tickets so we can put back into the centers so these families can get back and forth to their doctor's appointments, get back and forth to dialysis. So they won't have to, that's one thing they don't have to worry about. So by saying that, I would love for everyone, if you could come out, support by donations. We're looking for sponsorships to come be sponsorships to sponsor a family. You know, also, we have a lot of young mothers who are on dialysis, who have kids, who activities, you know, they want to I want to put my child in the sports, but I can't because I'm allowed to only make this much money, but the income of life is going up. The transition of life is going up. Right. So I can't do that for them. Or medicine. I remember a couple of times, just medicine alone, a doctor will write you a prescription because that's what they do. But they don't know that your insurance not paying for that so going back saying, hey, I need you to write me something a little bit cheaper that I can afford because I can't pay $150 for that prescription.
So then does Diva Clay Foundation become the advocate?
Yes.
So you become
this person.
Okay, but that's what you want.
Yes,
that's
that girl.
That's the part that you want because not always does everyone feel comfortable even advocating for themselves. You can advocate for other people. You can be other people's voice, but not necessarily the voice for yourself. And so there's always good to have that person. So how do we reach you? And then I got like a couple of more questions.
But let me go back to this. So I was a patient advocate at my center.
Okay, I was. Now, somehow I did not know that, but I could see that.
I was a patient. I was like, you can't just tell me anything. And so for my elderly people and for people that sat on the machine that couldn't talk for themselves or wouldn't talk for themselves, I was the one don't do that to them. They don't like that. That's not how this go. You know, you can't abuse them because I see you. I see you, and I'm going to speak up for them. So I was a patient advocate for my center.
So did they like you, or did you drive them crazy?
They love me. That's how I got the name Diva Clay. That's how I got the name Diva Clay, because everybody probably think it's because I'm a diva. It had nothing to do with me at all, Kelly. It was when I first started dialysis. I was afraid. I was scared. So I would wear glasses, sunglasses. My grandmother would take me, and I would wear sunglasses, and I didn't talk. Well, I'm a talker. So I didn't talk for a long time. I would just go in.
Really?
For real? I know.
I just couldn't believe that, but okay.
Yep, right, I would go in and I would sit there just like this with my glasses on, and I would pretend I was on a beach somewhere, and I let them do their work. I was very polite. I was very kind. And one day, she woke up. I woke up and they was like, this big personality. Who are you? They didn't know me. And when they got to meet me on a different level, they was like, you a diva. Diva Clay. You Diva Clay. And from that point on, I formed my teams for the National Kidney Foundation, Team Diva Clay. And it was just perfect for me to name my organization Diva Clay Foundation.
I like it.
Yes.
So are you still a part of the walk? Are you of the National Kidney Foundation walk, the big walk that they have?
Yes. No, I'm not. I haven't done a walk in a while.
Okay.
I hadn't done a walk in a while because I started living a different journey.
Okay.
A different journey for it's a transplant journey.
Okay.
And so I kind of just started doing more stuff, spreading awareness of being an organ donor, bringing awareness of how you can save someone's life. Someone can save many lives just by being an organ donor. So no, but hopefully we can get in the foundation, back in the groove, and bring in the walk back for our Fort Worth community.
Okay. So you said you're on the other side of that journey.
Yes.
And you get that phone call. You
Wow.
get that phone call that says, hey, we need you to get to the hospital because we have a match.
Mm-hmm.
And so what is that like?
Wow. That was amazing. That phone call came at 6 a.m, and he said, Valencia, because everybody knows Valencia, are you up? No, I'm not up. We have a kidney for you.
I'm up now.
What? What? So I immediately freak out, and I'm like, what do I do? Because what do I do? So, the first person I called was my right hand, my mother. Mom, we got to get to the hospital. We have a kidney. We're going da-da-da. And she was like right there. The story gets even better. Oh my God, it's amazing. We get there, we check in, we get to the floor. When we get to the floor, I remember walking in, and as we walking in, I see doctors, I see nurses, I see just a line of people along the line, and they're cheering. And they saying, we've been waiting on you all day. Your name has been popping up all day. And as I'm walking, I'm crying, and they're cheering, and they so happy, and they're excited. My doctors and everybody, and I'm like,
oh my gosh, I got chills.
I know, and so I
have
cannot.
chills.
And this is the first time I've shared this story.
Oh my gosh! Well, thank you for sharing it.
Yes,
with me.
And so I'm crying. By this point, I remember crying, and my mom, of course, she bawling. And I decided, I don't know, at some point, I just run into the nearest room because I can't believe it wasn't even my room. But I'm tears of joy, and I run into the room, but it was just amazing. It was like something on Grey's Anatomy that I couldn't even imagine was going to take place for me. And as we in the process, when I tell you everything went fast, it was like from me signing papers, from me letting them scrub me, from me doing anything you can think about. It was like fast. I didn't have time. I remember the last thing I remember is being in the bed, getting ready to roll down, and my mom behind me kissing. She said, can I kiss her? Can I go? And they said she could go to a certain point. And I remember her kissing me. And I don't remember anything else but waking up in ICU the next morning.
Awesome.
Yes, it's amazing. Oh,
that's called God's grace.
Mercy. Yes, God, grace and mercy. And I just thank him every day for it.
It endures. It
Yes,
endures.
I just
So you're living a different journey.
yes.
And it's a journey that, because once the transplant happens, then that's something else.
Whole
Because
different world.
there's no, this is not dialysis.
Right.
This is something different. This is for what, 30, 40 days you can't be around people. You kind of, you're in the house, you're blocked out from the world.
Yes.
You're the girl in the bubble, you know.
That's a good way to put it. The bubble.
But that's what
yes.
it is. And then you, for the rest of your life, you take medicines.
Mm-hmm.
But then there's also still that chance of maybe something else happens, and you, so you're really now, if you weren't paying attention to your health, you're definitely paying attention
Yes.
to your health, because you have this
Mm-hmm. This
organ in your body
right.
that's
right.
not naturally yours, and so
Right.
you have to make sure that everything is working. So how does that work? And okay, how does that work? But then one more other question: Are you in and out? Have you had health issues since your transplant?
Yes.
Okay, so let's talk about
I'm so glad you I'm so glad you brought this question up, because this is important. But let me just go back and say, so after I got my transplant, a lot of people don't know, but my kidney didn't wake up right then. My kidney did not wake up until a month later.
Oh, wow.
I think it was a month later. People don't know that that's part of it. Sometime it won't. And I remember my doctor calling the baby. He was like, when the baby wake up, you're going to know. When the baby wake up, you're going to know. So that was also scary to know I just had a major surgery and my kidney wasn't working. So of course, but you still have to go to your doctor's appointment. So getting a transplant, you go every week. I think we were going 3 days a week. 3 days a week, because like you said, I was a girl in the bubble. I couldn't be around. I remember I didn't see nobody. I didn't talk. I talked on the phone, but I didn't see anybody. Nobody was allowed to be around me, because my support system, they are like on it. Nuh-uh, you're not going nowhere near her. So but they didn't try. So one day around 2:00 in the morning, 2:00 in the morning, the baby woke up. And when the baby woke up, it was the worst pain in my life. Let me tell you why. The kidney wakes up and I'm going to the restroom. Nonstop. When he said, when the baby wake up, you're going to know it. I was miserable. I was crying, because every 5 minutes, I slept in the restroom. I couldn't leave. It was the worst ever.
For how long?
From 2:00 until probably 7 that morning, I think. Yes, the baby would not go back to sleep.
The baby say, listen, I'm here now.
I'm gonna wake up. So, and when I tell you it was the worst, I remember in the restroom crying at one point. I just want to sleep. Yes. And then it got back on schedule, but it did not wake up. And that's interesting, because I didn't even know that could take place. But yeah, so all the kidneys don't, different levels of transplant. So different people have different levels of getting a transplant and how it affects your body. So yes, I forgot the other question you said, because I had to tell you that one.
Well, no. But so have my second question was, since your transplant,
yes.
how has your health been? Have you gone back to the hospital, or are you on a less rocky journey?
So I call it the transplant journey now.
Okay.
The transplant journey is a different journey. I've had a lot of rocky mountains. The transplant, I've been in and out the hospital. I've been in renal failure, where my kidneys would function. I had COVID twice, so that made my levels go down. That caused me to go in. So when you go in, they treat you on a different level. So I have, so you're getting treated on a different level from that point. So the antibiotics are powerful, and they're trying to keep it from going into rejection and stuff. So I'm sorry. So that's a thing. So I've had different things that come with living with the transplant. It's a journey that I enjoy, but it's also a journey that I have to continue to pray about and ask God to protect me, because it's not easy, but it's better than being on dialysis.
Absolutely.
So,
So that
sorry.
makes me no. That makes me think because you live with a compromised immune system.
Yes.
Every day for the rest of your life, you live with this compromised immune system.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think when COVID, when everybody really first understood COVID, because I think there was a while that nobody was
Knew what it
really
was.
what it
Yes.
was. Um, so that puts you on edge, that puts you on guard. So do you find yourselves, are you in large crowds, or when you are in crowds, does that make you nervous, or do you wear a mask? How does that work for you? Because in the back of my mind, I would always be thinking like, don't come near me. Don't cough over here. You
Stay
yeah,
away.
like I don't know, because listen, over here we are a fortress. So how
Yes.
does that work? How do you feel about that?
Well, I try to not to live in fear.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm going to always protect myself. So I teach pre-K.
Oh,
Yes.
you
So
got all of the little
so I have, besides the world, I teach pre-K. And so that's where the dreams start.
Yes.
So in the
That's true.
beginning, I did wear a mask. I did wear a mask in the beginning. Going back, I would. And then at some point, I was like, I'm going to always make sure I'm good. And with my immune system being depressed, I try to just make sure I go watch my surroundings. I don't want to feel like I'm in a bubble and I can't live my life.
Mm-hmm.
So I try not to, but also try to protect myself as well. So being said, when someone in my room gets sick, I am the Lysol queen. I'm Lysol, but I love my babies because I can't say, even though I want to, but but I still make sure I'm in a distance for them to still receive the love, but not be like, so I don't isolate myself from anything, because if that's the case, that's the whole point of me getting a kidney, to live a normal life that I can live. So I try not to put so much thought on it, and just I always ask God to protect me no matter where I'm going, to protect my immune system, to protect me from all hurt, harm, and danger that won't come to my body. So
that's a wonderful prayer. That's a wonderful prayer. So okay, we're gonna wrap this up for you, but I want you, because there's so much.
Yes.
There's so much to your story and your journey, and the world, the city should hear. People should hear your story. So how do we reach you? How do we get you out in front of audiences, talking and telling people the importance of having a physical and paying attention to your body, and the do's and don'ts of dialysis, and you can be, your mom said this and I was thinking this, but you can be on more than one transplant. You can be on more than one transplant list. Because that's improving your odds of getting, your name called, that phone ringing. So how do we reach you?
Okay, so you can reach me on all platforms. I have a Instagram account. My name is Diva Clay Foundation on Instagram, Diva Clay Foundation, and also on Facebook, it's Valencia Clay on Facebook, and I have an email. It's divaclayfoundation@gmail.com, and I am very grateful for this interview, because that's what this foundation is about. Put me out there. I've been out there, but I need to be bold in my purpose. I need people to know that this is a disease that don't just affect me, but others.
Yes.
This is way bigger than me. When I say it's bigger than me, it's for our community. And we need to spread that and let them know, hey, we see you. We need your help. We need you to bring back to our community. And so one of the things, I have a shirt, as you see my shirt.
Her shirt says, "I'm a hot mess, but a good mess."
So you know me. So you know I'm a hot mess, but I'm a good mess. And that goes for so many things. My personality is big, but deep down inside, I'm a hot mess because I can be broken. I'm going through things my own life. But in the midst of me going through, I'm still a good mess. I'm still a good mess to be a blessing to others. Mm-hmm. I'm still a good mess to know I smile even when I don't want to smile. I show up when I don't want to show up. But I'm a good mess. But I'm a hot mess. But I'm a good mess. Hot mess, good mess. And so one of the things I have these shirts that people can support us with. The shirts I'll be posting information about shirts. And I have another shirt that says hot mess but blessed with the ribbon. So that'll be going out. And all the proceeds go back to Diva Clay Foundation.
Nice.
Everything go back. So you can support, and I love telling my story just by being a motivated speaker. And I just want people to know that you're not alone. And my story is different from other stories. Everybody have a journey. Right. And my journey is not like others. I get people tell me all the time, well, did you have A1Z happen to you? No. But my journey on dialysis was hard. I didn't talk about it because, as I was saying to someone, what am I talking about it for? I have to live it. You know what I mean? I had to live it. So me telling you what I saw 3 days a week and what I went through and what others went through, it's different, because if you're not there, you're not going to understand. You know, you're not there unless you're a caregiver for someone. You're not going to understand the ups and downs of someone going through this disease.
You know, you made the comment about the young lady on the bus. Mm-hmm. And when my late husband, in 2012, mm-hmm. started on dialysis, there were days, and because he started in the summer, mm-hmm. and it was 105, 106, 107. And I would pick him up and he would just be freezing. Cold. He'd be freezing, you know. Yeah. And we would, you know, he would say, "Can you turn on the heat?" And I'm thinking, Jesus, yeah. I understand that you're cold, all but it's 106 degrees.
And you're like, what?
Yeah. And, you know, so he wound up having quilts and, you know, all of these things to help with that. So,
gloves.
Right.
Did he take gloves?
And hats.
Yeah.
And a hat. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I would like for us, as we come to a close in this conversation, think about because when we do a hat drive or a mitten drive or a blanket drive, mm-hmm. we're thinking in the winter. Mm-mm. No, we're thinking in the winter. Yes. And it is cold
in there all the time.
In the dialysis clinic. It is cold.
Freezing.
And so let's think about how we do that as a project. And we pull in Hey Girl Hey and lots of different people to make that happen. And I don't know if your thought has been, I'm going to choose one clinic, or, you know, we're going to start here and then we move there, whatever that looks like. But count us in to be a part. I know more about the journey. Yes. Having been a caretaker, but also having been able to talk to people like you, who could reach out. You know, I could reach out and be like, "Hey, tell me about this," or Crystal, you know, who you know, she would call and be like, "Girl, I was getting ready to call you," you know. So I appreciate it. I appreciate this time. But to everybody who is watching, follow her. Follow her on Instagram at Diva Clay Foundation. Follow her on Facebook at Valencia Clay. But don't just follow. Make a donation. Give of your time, your talent, and your treasures, because sometimes when you walk into that dialysis clinic, you don't realize who's in there, people that you know, that you would never know, who are living this life in silence. So Valencia, thank you so much
Yes.
for spending some time with us. And I want to tell you this. I see for the real world, I'm calling you Valencia. In my
You
mind,
want to
I'm
say
saying
what?
Pumpkin.
Well, I guess I should have named it Valencia Clay Foundation for all the people that call me Pumpkin, right?
But just
That's
thank
love.
you.
That's love.
That's love.
If you call me Pumpkin, you love me.
So yeah, but I thank you.
Yes.
I do, and because there are a lot of kids who are living this journey with their parents, their grandparents, themselves.
Yes.
And it's important. It's important to have this conversation. So thank you so much.
Yes, thank you for allowing me to have this conversation with you, to be more open to my story on another level.
Yeah.
And I appreciate you for always being there for Pumpkin.
Of course.
So I'm just grateful, and everything you said is part of our organization that's in the comments. So without me even telling you, you already spoke some things that we have in line. So multiple centers. We want to start with where I started, but we want to connect on the other side as well. So thank you for this opportunity, and just everybody, if you can support. We need the support for our local community to spread the word of kidney disease, just bringing it back home to Fort Worth. That's what we need. So thank you again, Kelly.
You're more than welcome. Hey, girl, hey.